Is LeBron James' I Promise School failing?
Almost exactly 7 years ago, LeBron James stood at this exact spot and opened his I Promise School. Arguably the greatest accomplishment in his entire career. He was lauded as a philanthropist.
How many rings does he have? And his greatest accomplishment is opening a school? Sorry.
And a
Sorry.
private citizen who stood up to do what the government wouldn't. It was universally celebrated as a success. But since then...
So for 3 years, not one child passed the state test in math, not one.
Principal of the LeBron James I Promise School in Akron has
submitted
her resignation following an allegation that she slapped an 11-year-old student.
A quote, death note was found on the school grounds, and that note found sometime last week had a list of names of teachers and students who work and attend
me in LeBron's
the amount
school?
of tears that I saw from teachers that work there.
What's up, y'all? I'm Kip Kame 11, and I'm here in Akron, Ohio to
What's
find
up,
out
Kip Kame
why is
11?
LeBron James's I Promise School failing? Well, to begin, we have to go back to 2004. Fresh out of Akron, Ohio, LeBron James let all the naysayers know that he was the truth. After a successful Rookie of the Year campaign and an $87 million Nike deal, LeBron was a far cry away from where he was even just a year ago. Still possessing a strong allegiance to Akron, LeBron founded the LeBron James Family Foundation as a 19-year-old, as a way to help out struggling children like him when he was growing up. As his career accolades and profile grew, so did his organization. In 2005, LeBron hosted his first annual bike-a-thon, with kids from Akron riding along with him, joined by NBA friends Carmelo Anthony and
Does that every year still?
He
I've heard of
continued
it.
to provide steadily for his community and took it up a notch in 2011, where he started the I Promise initiative, a program that gave resources to underprivileged children in Akron in order to help them succeed with school. This would go from bikes to
LeBron's such a
computers
good guy,
to even
man.
annual trips at
Such a
amusement
good
parks.
guy. Look
I
at him
love
helping
being
out
in
the
this program.
Akron community.
It's life-changing.
After a
Akron-
few years,
Arkham-
this initiative expanded to the I
Arkham
Promise
Knight, sorry.
School as a way for kids who are at risk of flunking out and being claimed by Akron's tough environments, like LeBron almost famously was, to express themselves and be supported. It was a fantastic idea and the first of its kind. There have been schools opened by celebrities before, like Deion Sanders' Prime Prep Academy, Will Smith's New Village Academy, and Kanye's Donda Academy, all with varying levels of success. LeBron's school, however, was different. It was a fully public school as opposed to private school or academy, fully integrated into the Akron public school system, and operated as such. Only that it's got over 100 of LeBron's game-worn shoes inside, and over $1 million a
Well, it's
year in
his
extra
school,
funding.
bro.
This was history
It's his
in the
school.
making. In a regular public school, LeBron James became the vice principal. But seriously, in America, there hasn't been a large-scale
Bruh.
project like this. One of the reasons being, I'd be
least
remiss
he didn't
not
make
to
himself
mention,
the
is that
principal.
LeBron is, again, a private citizen attempting to revolutionize schooling for lower-income families and children. What he's doing is venturing into uncharted waters. Not only has he opened a school, he's opened up transitional housing down the block from the school for families and parents of students who might be experiencing bouts of homelessness. There are 50 families here who prior to this had struggles with finding housing. This initiative right here gives them a home. Less than 2 blocks away from the I Promise School. There's also the I Promise apartments, geared for longer-term stay.
God
Then
damn,
there's House
LeBron, you got an I
360, where
Promise
parents of kids are
restaurant, bro?
employed by the
Shit.
facilities to give them work. I talked to some of the people there, and they had nothing but wonderful things to say about the foundation.
I was never accepted into LeBron Foundation. I don't think I would have known truly what to do in life.
There are schools out there
You
that
said she
receive
wasn't
additional
accepted?
funding, but you're not gonna find
Wait, what?
them
Known.
wonderful things to say about the foundation.
I was never accepted into LeBron
So why did he say
Foundation.
they
I don't
said
think I would have
wonderful
known
things?
truly what to do in life.
There are schools out there that receive additional
Am I
funding,
dumb?
but you're not gonna find them in America. You might find them in Japan.
This is a very nice school. What?
Or a private school. There's no place in America that's providing public school resources to a facility such as this, except for LeBron. So, what's the problem? Well, for
Right.
starters, we have to address what exactly it was that made I Promise so special in the first place. Beyond the grand name and media attention, there were genuine benefits that looked to be promising for children coming from different backgrounds. The inaugural principal for the school, Brandy Davis, an Akron native and 18-year veteran of Akron Public Schools, put it plainly in national news circuits. We are going to be that groundbreaking school that will be a nationally recognized model for urban and public school excellence. We are letting people know it is about true wraparound support, true family integration, and true compassion. Wraparound
She said the
support,
word true a
like
lot.
hug.
It's definitely
That's one of
not
the
true.
core tenets of the I Promise.
Or it is
It's
true.
the vibe that LeBron James
Nah.
and his, family foundation we're looking to cultivate. It's plastered everywhere around the school, and it's even the first thing you see on the website. And also, when you pull up to the school. The I Promise School was looking to create an environment where kids at school felt like they were at home, and that their teachers were family. This was accomplished in a multitude of ways. On top of the taxpayer funding that I Promise got as a part of the Akron School District, something for some reason that drew ire in the local press, there's about $1.5 million extra that the LeBron James Family Foundation provides for the I Promise school budget. Given its
Probably
rather
because
elaborate
LeBron's a
interiors
billionaire?
and miscellaneous
said that
costs
yet?
that came with new
I
features,
said how many rings he
the
has?
foundation spent approximately $2 million in the school's inception. This extra spending goes for creating smaller class sizes for children, free bikes, hiring tutors for after-school
I want a
programs,
free bike.
free breakfast, lunch, and afternoon snacks, as
Free
well as an
food?
on-site family resource center, which includes a food
I'm about
drive,
to turn 16
GED
again.
education classes, and lawyer
Not like that.
services for
No, not
parents
like
of
that.
the I
Not like
Promise
that. Not like
kids. Beyond that, there was a significantly longer school year from July to May, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., as well as 4 intervention
I'm
specialists
working at
and an
9 to
ESL
5 from
teacher.
July to
All
May.
of this in Akron,
Never
home of one
mind.
of the poorest school districts in the state. Then, of course, there are all the visits made by LeBron James, his shoes on the walls, and sometimes personalized messages and shout-outs from the king himself. To any kid, best school ever, right? The teachers thought so too.
Nah,
Oh, I
for
actually
real.
thought it was going to be amazing.
This is former I Promise school teacher Jessica Gerber,
a 12-year veteran of Akron Public Schools,
who started at the I Promise school in 2022. More on her later. The very first school year of the I Promise
got
school
teased,
started with
bro.
much fanfare. I mean, after all, it's literally the LeBron school. Everyone and their mother wanted to know how it would turn out. So much so that LeBron's media company, Spring Hill Productions, commissioned a documentary on the first year of the I Promise school. You can find it on YouTube. I highly recommend it. It's an amazing watch. In the first few minutes, you
I'm
can
good,
see
bro. I
there's
think
a
you're gonna
great
tell me
amount of
everything, right?
resources that truly do provide relief for families in serious need. It instilled hope in the family of those attending the school.
LeBron James.
LeBron
I
James.
help him and stuff, you know, with his
LeBron
problem, like with his
James.
reading everything.
But now the issue, and the very big issue at that, is actually educating the kids. The way that students from the I Promise school were selected was through a lottery consisting of second graders from the bottom 25% of achievement levels in Akron, those classified as academically at risk. The lucky 120, or technically 240 because it was 3rd and 4th grade for the first year, would get placed into the I Promise school
it's 3rd
and
and
receive
4th
nice
grade?
perks like
Damn.
free uniforms and more serious ones like jobs for parents. All of these children came with baggage, and a lot of it. It tended to be the reason even that they were low achieving. They weren't able to focus on class because they were acting out. Oftentimes this was because they had unstable home lives, with families not knowing how
Wait,
to
so are we mad at the kids here or the school? Like, I get that we're supposed to be teaching the kids, but he just said they picked the dumbest kids. So, like, I mean, I guess that's the teacher's fault, but like, why they picking all dumb kids? You could pick some smart kids too, bro. I bet the smart kids want to go to LeBron school.
to prioritize
And not that the dumb
education
kids don't
because
got
they hadn't
potential
been
or
down the
nothing, but
path
like,
themselves and were busy worrying about other things. Take Nate, for example, a kid who was showcased on LeBron's Instagram story, who began at a kindergarten reading level. If something got too frustrating or intense for him, he would get up and walk out of the classroom. His teachers would say that he was so behind, not because he wasn't able to learn, but because he wasn't spending enough time in class. The lady who we saw from before was Nate's grandma, who lives with Nate's mom and her 7 kids. What happened to the dad?
And his friends set him up. They stabbed him, shot him, ran him over.
damn.
They stabbed him with a stone.
On top of that, Nate had experienced a SWAT raid in his apartment complex after his uncle had been caught selling drugs. He says that he wasn't scared, but it's clear the experience impacted him.
Police, put your hands up!
Nate is just one of such cases, and in a classroom, one of 20. In another class, there was a little girl who felt so unsafe that she would lock herself into one of the very fresh and new lockers at the school. After a few weeks with the kids, one teacher admitted,
You have the romantic thoughts, like, I'm gonna change the world. So when you get in and you have 20 kids who struggle with school and you have some kids who have behavior issues, you kind of be like, okay, well, this is a little harder than I thought.
Now, I'm not gonna reveal all that happens for the documentary if you're looking to watch, but at the end of the day, it ends with phenomenal news that 92% of kids met or exceeded their expected state
Okay,
growth
that's
in both math
good.
and reading.
That's
And on
good,
average, the kids
92%.
moved from the 1st percentile in English to the 9th percentile for 3rd grade and the 16th percentile for 4th grade. And in math, kids went from the 1st percentile of achievement levels to the 18th.
So they not
and 4th
dumb.
graders went from the 2nd percentile
Well,
to
they
the 3rd.
learned, but
In
like,
that first year, the
you
rate
made
of
it
growth
sound
in
like
the
the
I
school
Promise
was
school was
failing.
better than 99% of schools nationwide.
Can we get to the
This was a
problem? I feel like
huge win
he's
for
like
iPromise.
beating around the
And
bush.
things were
Like,
looking
can we
up.
just get to the
But
point?
there are still issues.
Thank you.
One, just because kids had met
It's
or
not pre-watch,
exceeded
not
their
pre-watch.
expected level of growth doesn't mean that they were on grade level at the end of the year. It just meant that they at least advanced one grade level in 1 year. There are some big success stories where some advanced further, but overall, many of the kids were still
That's the
below
teacher and
grade
the
level,
student? Well, that was
advancing
her
to the
mom.
next grade. And beyond that, there are some more serious issues brewing. Summer, which included a 7-week summer camp for the kids, yet another perk, came and went. Despite the behavioral
That's not
issues
funny.
and mountain of progress
It's
that
not
was
funny.
still
It's
left
not
to be
funny.
made, the sentiment regarding the school was still tentatively hopeful. There were revisions made to the initial plan of the school, one of the last ones being that they weren't going to add first and second graders like they initially intended to. But they moved on with the next cohort of third graders, and the original fourth graders became the inaugural fifth grade class.
Yo, LeBron hasn't worn his glasses in a minute, bro. When the last time Bron was wearing glasses
Cohort of
like
third
this,
graders. And the original
bro? Look, like he used to wear these glasses all the time, bro. But now he don't wear them no more. Like I used to stalk him and shit, so I would know. I'm sorry.
fourth graders became the inaugural fifth grade class. And it seemed like the sky was the limit. Then, of course, the pandemic hit. Now see, this is where things got bad. For a lot of us in the US in regular home and school situations, the pandemic was an inconvenience, sure, and lowered work
Sure.
ethics
No,
overall.
it was.
I was a senior
What do
in
you
high
mean,
school and I
sure?
experienced the strongest dose of senioritis I think one can get. But I came out relatively unscathed. For
You
those
were
in
a
younger
senior. What do you mean? There's barely any effect. You were about to graduate. So obviously the pandemic's not gonna have an effect on you if you were a senior.
The results were
well, it had an effect, but like school wise.
much more dire. Over the last 3 decades before the pandemic, 8th graders nationwide have steadily been getting better at standardized math tests. But from 2019 to 2022, almost half of that growth in 30 years has been lost, setting 8th graders in math back literally 2 decades. Now, imagine the kids at the I Promise school. Kids like Nate with 6 other siblings, a mom that works nights, and a grandmother. He had to find a place to focus in all of that mess. Or some kids that may have their heat shut off, so they'd have to focus through the cold. A student at the University of Akron did a small study involving 10 teachers who taught at the I Promise school during the pandemic. The study found that all the teachers had significant issues getting the kids to follow instructions,
Damn,
and a large majority of them
100%?
believed that their kids were performing worse than expected, while having overall negative behavior. There have been studies done about the disparities that were exacerbated in the pandemic between high-income and low-income families. And that was the same in the Akron School District, a lower-income district. They also suffered from what's known as learning loss during the pandemic. The amount of failing grades in math went up by 9%, and chronic absenteeism also went up drastically.
I'm not gonna lie, during the pandemic, I was failing all my classes, bro. This shouldn't even be crazy news, bro. I was doing no work on Fortnite all day. As soon as I'm done Fortnite, you know what I'm saying? I was doing the business. Back on Fortnite. Back on 2K20, bro. Oh my god, pandemic 2K20. I was doing zero work, so why are we really shocked that these kids' grades were dropping, bro? I was doing nothing, bro. Straight on TikTok, Instagram, 2K, Fortnite all day. On Discord, 12 hours with the gang. Oh my god. We was doing homework on Discord, sharing screens, sharing answers. I wasn't really doing no type of assignments, but man, the pandemic had its ups and downs, bro. I wish it never happened, but like, I made the most of it out of my video games and stuff, bro.
Now,
Straight
imagine kids in the
gaming.
bottom quartile of this district in a situation like this. The ones that were hard enough to keep in the classroom during regular school. There wasn't any way this was going to end well. And it was a nasty halt to the momentum that had been building up. The kids that needed food and support had to now rely on teachers and employees driving around Akron, delivering them lunches and face-to-face communication. One teacher knew the route to every single one of her students' houses. And to get to them all, which she did routinely, it would take 3 hours.
Wow.
A quote from her as she was helping out a family. And it really just dawned on me. School is not this family's main focus right now. They're literally surviving. Like many did, I Promise got through the worst parts of the pandemic. It was hard, but they did it. But then things took a turn for the worse.
Also developing this evening, the principal of the LeBron James I Promise school in Akron has submitted her resignation following an allegation that she slapped an 11-year-old
The
student.
principal
Brandy
smacked
Davis,
the
the veteran
student.
principal,
Oh,
Akron
nah.
born and bred, assaulted a student shortly after pandemic restrictions on the school had been lifted. The testimony she gave was that there was a situation in a bathroom and a kid took a dump in the urinal. One of the kids told Miss Davis, who was rushing to the scene of the crime, using some pretty crass language. Miss Davis then said she went into auntie mode, treating the kid like her own nephew, and slapped him for using the S word. The kid's lip was split and bloodied. She immediately
So she smacked the kid who said shit instead of the kid who actually took a shit in the urinal.
Profusely apologized to the family, but the damage had been done. From there, it's kind of downhill. Miss Davis was one of the main faces behind the entire operation. She's still listed as the principal on the I Promise School website, but due to the incidents, she was immediately placed onto paid leave in September of 2021. Davis then resigned.
Paid
in
leave?
December
She
of
got
that
to smack a
year,
kid and
the school
keep
began
getting
a very
bread?
turbulent period.
That's
While
smacking
Davis was
stop.
on paid leave, retired principal Charles Jones stepped in immediately to be the interim principal. Then after a month or so, principal of another APS school, Anthony Lane, took over for the rest of the school year. Going into the 2022-23 school year, things were looking bad. In just 1 year, the school had had 3 principals. But they were able to secure a permanent principal, a University of Akron graduate and assistant principal from a nearby school district, Tawana Ham. She was a promising and eager prospect. But after 1 year, she was moved to another principal position in the district,
my
and
days.
shortly after left Akron altogether. The district didn't give a reason, and when the local paper reached out to Ham for comment, she didn't respond. Remember Miss Gerber from before? She was at the I Promise School for the exact same amount of time that Miss Ham was. And, well...
I'll tell you a story from the first time I walked in. The very first day I had shared a classroom with an intervention specialist, and I walked in and he was like,
She's talking
the kid
really fast.
was
Can we
7th
slow
or
down?
8th grader, and he was just chewing out the teacher, and she's a young thing. And I was like, don't speak to her like that. And if you don't talk to me, I don't know who you think you are. You don't come in here and talk to me. Walks out, slams the door. I mean, my first 30 seconds in the classroom.
Wow.
And that kind of sums up how the kids act. They call it a walk and talk, and anytime they don't want to be in class, they throw a fit and they walk out of the classroom. I had an altercation
That's crazy.
with a very large 6th grade student who was trying to fight another student, and I was trying to break it up, and then he, turned on me like, get out of my face. I don't even want to repeat what he said to me. And there was at the front door of Akron, or at I Promise is an Akron cop. And I looked at him and I was like, are you going to do anything? And he just slowly unfolds himself. He goes, they don't listen to me. That's the response.
Wow. Okay.
And it was after that incident, I called my boss and I said, if you don't get me out of this school, I will quit right now.
Her experience speaks for itself.
Wait, should I be laughing? Nah, this is sad. Wait. This is sad. Wait, that was funny though. But it's like, it's a public school, but it's more like a school for troubled kids. So like they need to kind of change the way it's structured. Like if you have a bunch of troubled kids and you treat them like they not troubled, like they're just gonna take advantage of that. Like the walk and talk, bro. If I had a walk and talk and I didn't want to be in class, I'd be leaving class every 30 seconds. Like, yo, I don't want to do this today, bro. I'm walking, I'm talking, and I'm out, bro. I'm not learning no math, bro. Fuck you mean I gotta do A squared, B squared, and C squared, bro? Pythagorean theorem? No, bro. I'm out. I'm not learning either. It's not even
a lot
crazy.
of these problems were evident and documented in the first year of the school, but progress was still ultimately made. But when the school went into the pandemic and then lost its founding principal, the visions that the founding team came up with weren't able to be executed properly. New students came in with the same problems as the old students, and it got to the point where it seemed that the culture was dictated more by the students than by the teachers, at least according to Ms. Gerber.
The teachers try to get kids to do things. I mean, I will be like, it's not the staff. Like there's no support there at all. There's no accountability. I mean, we've got 7th graders beating up 3rd graders on a school bus. We have kids. I mean, when I say fights daily, multiple, constantly. Fights. The amount of tears that I saw from teachers that work there, everyone's put in for transfers. Like I know at least 5 teachers who put in for transfers because they just don't want to be there.
The teachers became overstressed and overworked, a lot of which had to do with another critical component, IEPs. If you're not familiar, it's a document, IEP standing for Individualized Education Program, in the American K-12 system, assigned to children that have a learning disability and require extra attention in the classroom. These disabilities range anywhere from dyslexia to speech impairments to autism. And these kids are often in regular classes with other students, with just a bit more attention given to them from the teachers. Nationally, there are about 15% of these types of students. In the Akron Public School District, there's about 17%. As of 2022, the I Promise School had 30% that required an IEP, double the national rate and damn near double the districts. In some classrooms, that number was as high as 45%, and one of the grade levels had 50% of children with some sort of learning disability. Damn near illegal in Ohio.
Oh my
And
days,
straight up
bro.
illegal in Akron. It got so bad that the Akron Public School District placed a a limit on kids who had gotten an IEP to I Promise, capping them at 10%.
Why don't they have a better mix? That's what I'm not understanding. Like, if you're treating it like a public school, why is it not mixed with public kids and the kids with the IEPs? That's how most high schools work. There's a mix of kids, broader range, not just a bunch of bad kids. If it's a bunch of bad kids, then treat it like a fucking school for bad kids, bro.
It was this
And
environment that made
I feel like this is like
so
common. Like,
difficult
why
for
can they
kids.
not
But
figure out
according
a
to Ms.
solution?
Gerber, that wasn't the only issue.
Because what you see on social media and what you see, like, you know, LeBron, everything is given, nothing is earned. Or, I mean, everything is earned, nothing is given. It's actually the opposite. Everything is given, nothing is earned. I Promise isn't any different than the kids that we're getting in Akron Public Schools. They're just getting selected. Half their siblings are with us. Do you see what I mean? Like, everyone's got trauma. I don't know. Like, it's just a different environment. I've never been in an environment where there's no accountability like that.
And this was reflected in the report given 2 years ago after the 2023 school year. Keith Lichty, the liaison between the I Promise School and APS, compiled a report to present to the board concerning the I Promise students and their scores. The first report since the first year in 2019. But the news wasn't so good this time.
3 years, not one child passed the state test in math, not one.
What this board member was referring to was this chart, one of a series in Keith's presentation that told a story quite opposite from the end of the first year, from a time of promise and opportunity to one of stagnation and even failure. After the pandemic, kids from the original 3rd grade class, with kids like Nate, not a single child passed a grade level state exam in math for 3 straight years. This is even more damning
3
when
years
considering
straight?
their testing protocols.
It takes the I Promise kids 5 weeks to finish a test. 5 minutes, I'm not kidding, and they want a break. I need a break. And they're allowed to have
I
one.
told
Get
you,
up and
I'd
walk out of the
I
classroom. They
literally
need a break.
abused that.
Not
I
only
would
were the
literally
kids not
abuse
doing
that.
well, they ended up by the 8th grade,
my
growing less
God.
by kids who weren't selected
Wait,
to
but
go.
like, come on, bro. You get a break, bro. Say you need a break, go to the bathroom, look up the answers, bro. Come on. The kids don't even care, man. They don't even care. They just need better accountability, to be honest. It's not the teacher's fault. It's not the kids' fault. It's kind of the higher ups' fault, if I would say. Because, like, they just need better accountability. Like, the teachers are trying their best, but, like, it's just the crazy, unfortunate situation scenario.
I went to other Akron schools despite being eligible for I Promise. Again, by the time these kids left 8th grade, the kids who were eligible for the I Promise school in Akron and didn't end up going were growing more than the I Promise kids were. In math, 42% of kids were making a year's worth of progress in school compared to just 27% of I Promise's kids in the 8th grade. And in 7th and 8th grade,
In English,
I Promise kids were still learning less than kids in other Akron schools. And when we're talking
Why'd he
about this
dub
year's
over
worth
in
of
English
progress,
like
we're
that?
still learning less as kids in the 8th grade.
I'm sorry,
and in 7th and
but-
8th grade,
in English,
I Promise
Why-
kids
you
were
didn't
still
even
learning
make-
less than kids in other Akron schools.
In English.
This
Sorry,
year's
but, like,
worth
why'd
of
he dub
progress,
it
by
over
the
so
way.
loud?
This is again meaning if all of the 8th graders came into school with a 5th grade math level, then only 20% of them in I Promise would end up with a 6th grade math level by the end of the year. The APS board president at the time, Derek Hall, made this point.
Those numbers could be 100% growth, grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But if they came to us 2 years behind, they leave us 2 years behind.
That's true.
If they're not exceeding 100%, then they're not actually catching up.
Still though, we do have to keep in mind that the
a
I
good
Promise
point,
school is quite literally the first of its kind. LeBron James and his foundation were the first to help open up a public school. And with unplanned obstacles like a global pandemic and a principal assaulting a student, there's not that much that could have been done about it. At the end of the day, it is still a high-class facility that's helping out underprivileged kids.
That's
And
true.
when I think about the kids that I met at House 330, multiple going into fields that wouldn't have been possible without LeBron's foundation, I have hope. Mrs. Gerber, with all of the issues that she took with the school, even conceded that it could work.
That the premise of what he wanted to do was a really good idea, and I think bringing in the upper grades ruined that. If they would have kept it with 3rd and 4th grade, they would have saw big things happen.
Since that report was made in 2023, the school has made some progress, led by Principal Stephanie Davis, a fully committed Akron native. Because of the bad test scores, the I Promise school was placed under state intervention in 2 categories: Black students and students with disabilities, where both groups were testing in the bottom 5th percentile of the state. In February of 2025, the school was able to exit out of that classification, which is
Okay,
of
see
course
progress.
progress, but there's much more work to be done. When the inaugural class graduates high school, it's very likely that it'll show that the kids would have done just as fine, if not better, if they had went to a regular Akron school. But then again, it's not quite fair to judge I Promise on its first class. Like an I Promise representative said.
We also, in essence, opened a middle school during the time of a pandemic, and a lot of the initial work was put into the development of what did the elementary school look like and how was it built. But I don't know if everybody came back to the table and did the same level of work, given that we were in the middle of a pandemic, to build out the middle school.
With a more stable leadership culture, more experience and more tweaks, the stats will improve. Now, will it end up that the I Promise school will be a nationally recognized model for urban and public school excellence? Probably not. But will it change lives for students and their families? From what I saw in Akron,
100%.
that seemed to be the case. School or no school. The kids that I saw were empowered to see and pursue their dreams. So, again, is the I Promise school failing? You tell me.
Is it failing? Yeah. Nah. I would say no. It's a public school. Every school has its ups and downs. I would say no. It was a good video, bro. The first mistake LeBron did was not calling it Lee Promise. Honestly, I don't think it's failing. It sounds like a regular, like, kind of like a troubled school, like, just where a bunch of kids are, like, thrown when they're, like, you know, bad grades and stuff, bad activities or whatever, habits, getting in trouble and stuff. So it just sounds like a normal public school, and that's what it is, a normal public school. But they just have, I think they need a better mix of, like, not good and bad kids, but, like, you know, just a more range of kids. Now, it could just be like the selection at Akron is limited, so they're just trying to help out the ones that are lower on like the poverty scale and stuff like that. But nah, I think the school's doing good. Shout out to LeBron for real, you know, keep going, King, get that school, you know what I'm saying? Help out them kids, bro. I'm gonna see you at that annual bike ride, King. Let's go.